I wish I could say something that was classy and inspirational, but that just wouldn't be our style.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Steelers Sanctuary Podcast. I'm here with Bob, Dave, Zach, and Leanne's probably going to join us in a little while. She's making an airport run on this somber day after Christmas. The Steelers have lost 3 in a row. They got whacked by the Chiefs again yesterday. Guys, what's your first thoughts about this losing streak?
I'll start it off because I'll probably be the only person who's not going to try and sell the team right now. To me, going into this season, the plan was not to win the division. The plan was not to have a good regular season. The plan was not to have a good record. The plan was to win a damn playoff game. And right now, none of that has happened yet. And so the season is not lost. We have still clinched a playoff game based on what we did in the first half. Am I disappointed? Horribly. Do I think a large part of it has to do with Mike Tomlin being unable to deal with pressure when he has short games? And he had 3 in 11 days? Yes, I believe that was a big thing. And my brother-in-law, Jake, is a huge Texans fan, and we were both talking about that. But to me, mission is still going on. Disappointed, but mission is still going
on. For Dave, what do you think?
They are who we originally thought they were. We didn't think that this was going to be some great 12-5 team. We thought at best around 9 to 10 wins this season. At least originally that's what we thought. But look, it looks like they're revolting back to that 10-7 finish that I originally put back in September. This is not a team that looks like they're going to go, strong into the playoffs. It looks like they're going to limp into the playoffs. It's bad, real bad.
Yeah,
Bob?
In the fourth quarter yesterday, I was thinking,
storm's coming.
Outrageous. It's just simply outrageous how the Carolina Panthers could play them to a 1 score. They beat everybody by 1 score except for the Browns. And we lost worse than the Browns lost against them. I don't get it. Unprepared, no plan, absolutely no plan on offense, no plan on defense. Almost a carbon copy of what we saw. Oh, well, we played the Ravens 3 days later or 4 days later, and we suck and we lost. Okay, so that was the excuse on the road. We were at home. It was just terrible from start to finish. I got a lot of thoughts on this, but I'm going to try to simmer down and not – but, there are a lot of really bad things that came out of this.
My thought on this is, Dave, you're right. This is what we thought they were, except just 2 weeks ago, they were 10-3, and we were talking about the 1 seed. And now it's just absolutely cratered.
I wasn't talking about the 1 seed. I would like to point out, if we go back,
Zach wasn't buying that. Zach wasn't buying that.
Hold up.
That confused me. I was very confused by that talk. So don't drag me behind that truck.
I guess. We saw we circled this 3 games on the schedule. We knew it was going to be tough. But I tweeted it out. Great teams win all 3. Pretty good teams win 2 out of 3. Good teams win 1. What does this leave this team? They didn't win any. They lost by an average of 17 points these 3 games. It's a bad football team. Badly coached anyway.
Tired young offensive line. These are I really was disappointed in the offensive line more than anything. More than anything, defense.
More than the defense?
Well, the defense but the defense, I might trust the defense on their own to kind of get it together, because it kind of looks like they might just kill the guy who they're upset at. They might just drag the guy out of the locker room, just leave him in the alley, and then the rest of them will go out and play. Because apparently the 10 guys will do fine without that one guy. It's the offensive line. I don't think it would have mattered if we had a great offensive plan. I really don't think no chance to run, no chance to pass, no chance to look. This is a tired offensive line that, of course, Seumalo is trying his best to hold together, and he can't do it.
So let's talk about that. The 10 players pointing fingers at this mystery player. that no one could quite figure out. There's been some rumor it could be Minka, which doesn't make any sense to me.
What confused me? Yeah.
But he was the only one that didn't talk of the the big guys. Deshaun Elliott talked and said some. Patrick Queen said something. Cam said something. TJ. So who does that leave? The only other key player on that defense is Minka Fitzpatrick. What do you guys think?
I guess they could all be pointing at Cam Sutton.
He's not.
So I was there. I watched the game, and I noticed that Pierre was really the weak link. Like Pierre was out there, and we were getting gashed. And as soon as they put Corey Trice in, it seemed like the defense then got some stops. But here's what drives me absolutely batshit insane: is they put him back out there on that. I think it was the 2nd and 14.
Who? Pierre.
Yes. And they threw a slant to Worthy, and he got like 16, 17 yards because they had Pierre out there. And as soon as he did to Pierre, they pulled him right back off. And it was like, you idiots. If it's working with not having Pierre out there, why in the world would you stick him out there on an island against Worthy? It's dumbass mistakes made by this coaching staff. They keep.
That's what it comes down to me.
They just keep giving these guys chances that suck. They're getting gashed out there. It's obvious the guy's not fit to be starting out there, and they put Trice out there. Things get better, but they just revolt right back to the original thing that did not work, and it just doesn't make sense to me. So again, the guy's giving up tons of plays, but they go back to him. And that's the guy to me that when I'm watching the game and I was watching closely, I was just like, man, they gave him another shot and he just got killed. But it was in a crucial moment. Like, you need to not let them get this first down, but you take a chance and get burned for it. Why go back to it? Like, it's just so stupid, man.
I'm talking to social media people out here, not the people who watch this show. They're awesome. I'm talking about those social media people out there who don't obviously watch the game or understand football. Our defense is no longer a complicated defense. It hasn't been since Dick LeBeau left out. Mm-hmm. This is about as vanilla, and I mean, we don't blitz. We don't run any complicated coverages. We play a lot of cover two. Hey, with Joey out there, we do mix up some man. But I'm sorry, communication issues on this defense, either Terrell Austin, Mike Tomlin's puppet, either can't explain things to these guys on defense, or we have some guys who probably wouldn't compare favorably to a box of rocks on an IQ. I mean, it's ridiculous. Why are 3 people chasing one guy? I mean, how do you lose Travis Kelce? J.J. Watt even said it. When it looked like, okay, we got some pressure, we forced Mahomes to step up, you heard Nate Burrow say, oh, Kelce. They even said it like that. Like, oh, man, we want to try to make this a game. And, it's terrible. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't know who they're talking about. Is that guy on defense? And, honestly, if they are talking about Minka, which is the rumor, what happened to he's playing center field and he's doing all this shutdown stuff? And let's not forget, I'm going to float a conspiracy theory out here. Let's not forget the leader in waiting for this defense was supposed to be Minka. The captain in waiting is Minka. Maybe Cam Hayward's looking around and saying, you know what, I'm going to be here another couple of years. I don't want to split time with Minka. And maybe he's putting it out there. I don't know. I don't know that for a fact. I'm just saying Cam Hayward is a petty guy. Oh, yeah, he's had a great year. Where was he yesterday?
Now, Cam Hayward had a great Cam Hayward was one of the few bright spots yesterday.
Yeah, he chased the guy down 10 yards from behind. The whole defense sucked yesterday. Nobody had a good day.
Hey, to Rick's point about them swapping out guys, they were doing it a ton. I mean, a ton in the secondary. And that's the other thing. If your team's having trouble communicating, why keep adding different parts constantly? Like literally, that's one of the things you shouldn't do is keep putting moving parts constantly with a team that's having communication issues, and they just don't learn from their mistakes. And that's what was frustrating too, because I watched this. It was constantly Trice and Pierre and Sutton and all these and KZ and all these guys getting moved in and out, and it's just like, dude, I don't know how they communicate whenever everybody communicates differently. That's just how it is, and understand things differently. I saw Trice when he got plugged back into the game. Well, into the game initially because Pierre was horrible, and him and Queenrick literally had confusion, yelling at each other. Like Trice is like, okay, what do you want me to do? And Queen was just like, dude, kick out. What do you know? I could see them arguing with each other like they didn't know what to do, and it's because of this constant switching players out. It's got to stop. Use the tape.
It's on the coaching.
See who does not belong. Right. It's the coaching. See who doesn't belong out there and go with your set of guys so that they can be out there the whole game together and communicate better. Just stupid.
I tried to warn you guys before this game on our last podcast. Andy Reid knows this defense and knows all its weaknesses like it's the back of his hand. You could drive a stake through Andy Reid's head, and he'd still be able to outcoach this defense. It's pure and simple. There was so much confusion. I was telling Bob before we got on. They walked to the line and snapped the ball within 3 seconds. While the Steelers are all pointing fingers, trying to get lined up, the Chiefs weren't. Andy Reid said, "We're not going to give them time to get ready. We're just going to go." It's the New England Patriots all over again. You've got the coach, the quarterback, and the continuity. They can walk into Pittsburgh and confuse the shit out of the Steelers because the Steelers are, they're doing their hand signals and pointing, and I'm watching the All-22 before we get on here, and there's so many palms up in the air, like, what are you doing? What are we doing? What am I supposed to be doing? That's on coaching. Mike Tomlin does not have this team prepared to play Andy Reid and the Kansas City Chiefs. You can't tell me he did. It's like they had never seen the Chiefs play before. They had no idea.
The Chiefs plan. Go ahead, Zach.
Oh, no, I was just saying the worst thing is we know that Mike Tomlin cannot prepare on a short week. He had 3 consecutive short weeks. And as far as I see it, because he had to come in and technically, I guarantee he was doing some ridiculous thing like, okay, can we try like split preparing between all 3 weeks? Can we prepare for both teams at one side by side? I trying to do some weird stuff and just none of it worked. So it was compiling bad upon bad upon bad. To give you an example of how really, really good the coaching is with the Chiefs was they knew what to do when the Steelers were too high, when they were single high, when they were in zone. They knew every time when to do the quick outs, when to do the slants, every single thing they knew. They are so good at the pick play too. Like when they wanted to do those quick outs and they had their wide receiver come over and do the pick play without getting called for a pick, they were experts at it. It sucked to watch it. It sucked to watch it. I felt helpless as a fan watching that defense try to stop their offense. It was the Steelers were trying so many different things, whether it be single high, too high. They had Minka go up on the line and had Elliott back, which was kind of weird to me. Like, dude, Elliott's the guy that's supposed to be your tackler, and Minka's supposed to be your center fielder. So why would you do that? And I get it. Like, Minka's good at that kind of stuff. But I'm just saying in general, it just didn't make sense to me. But they every single thing that the Steelers tried to do defensively, Kansas City knew what they were going to do. They knew what to do. It was embarrassing. Like I
saw Landon Roberts on the field way too much too. Way too much. What is he doing against Kansas City? They don't even run the ball. They don't run the ball.
In fact, they were having Elandon out there on passing downs.
Yeah.
And Wilson on the 3rd and 3s. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, Elandon's the guy you want out there on the short yardage. That's what he's good at. I even saw them take him out whenever the Chiefs were on the goal line. They took Elandon off the field. I'm sitting there going, what are you doing? Like, dude, there's so many things where I was just so confused as to what they were doing. And it goes back to the coaching. Like, it really does.
Zach, I don't know if you saw in chat, Relic brought up a play where it looks like, and I just watched it, where, it was pointing out the defense looked pissed at Minka. Like he was the one out of position on one of the.
I'll go back and watch because I haven't watched any of the other tape, but I do know I'm guessing if we looked at any of the 11 play or any of the 14, however many players on defense played total, we could find probably at least 2 plays of each of them where the defense was mad at them for doing it. It seemed like the defense was always mad at some. So I don't know if now. Well, I guess Relic is that the only play like that, or is that a consistent Minkah? Because I saw one play where I was mad at Minkah because I saw the out of position where Minkah took a bad angle on a handoff and just was chasing from behind the whole time.
Well,
so I don't know who did most of it.
If you go to his Twitter feed, or I just reposted it too, it looks like Dan Orlovsky was pointing it out, and basically where there's confusion, and then after everybody's pointing fingers, and it looks like everybody's pissed at Minkah. At this point, what I'm really worried about is, okay, fine, you want to say one guy's out of position and that guy's Minkah? Okay, fine. But why do all the linebackers look confused? Why do basically any?
That's silly.
The only guy who doesn't look confused, honestly, is TJ, because he knows what he's doing. He's running up the field, and to a lesser extent, I killed him earlier, Cam Hayward. Bottom line is, you're the leader of the team. You're the leader of the defense. Why is everybody in Game 16 against the Chiefs looking around going, what do I do? What do I do?
That's what Deshaun Elliott said, and he's right. He's 100% right. This is week 2 shit. He said, not week 18 stuff. Guys not getting lined up, not knowing where they're supposed to be. It all goes back. I think people are missing the point. I think these players are trying to take a shot at Mike Tomlin without taking a shot at Mike Tomlin. They're trying to keep it low key, but we all know what the problem is here. It's not Minkah Fitzpatrick's not giving up, 180 yards rushing to the Ravens last week. This is coaching, man. It's just over and over again. It's the same stuff. This is the New England Patriots all over again. And I wanted to bring up the pass rush a little bit because there was none. I mean, TJ Watt had no sacks. I think he had 1 tackle for a loss and no hurries in the game. 0 goose eggs. Herbig,
he played it perfectly.
Goose eggs.
Yeah, Tooney did a great job. He really did.
Screens.
Tooney's a guard.
At
keep in
TJ,
mind. That's got pushed out to tackle.
Yep, they knew exactly what to do with him. Exactly what to do with TJ.
They completely neutralized the pass rush, except for Highsmith. A couple of flashes from Highsmith. Other than that, and like we talked about, if they can't get a pass rush with this secondary, it's over. It's over. Yeah. You brought up Pierre and other guys, but Dante Jackson giving up a bomb. He looked. I saw that in the All-22. He looked slow. I mean, slow. And he gave up a couple other plays.
He's crazy fast, though. I will give Jackson that. Yeah.
I don't know. This secondary's a mess.
Were we trying to play too many hurt people? I mean, yeah, I understand they didn't have Prasad designations, but was that because we didn't want them to have Prasad designations? How many people were playing like that? Not offensively, but defensively that maybe shouldn't have been playing. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm just
this was do or die though, right?
It is strange because Dante Jackson is a 4-3 guy, so for him to get burnt that bad.
And that wasn't a fast.
I don't know if he's a 4-3 guy anymore. He was coming out of college, but I don't know if he's that guy anymore.
I know he's supposed to be fast. So how you get burnt that bad?
I don't think he played it. I mean, if you watch him coming off the line, look, for those of you unfamiliar, that guy is a straight burner. I mean, him and Xavier Worthy line up at the goal line and run 100. I'm not 100% sure that's not a boom boom a photo finish. It looked like he had him, and I think he was surprised at just which he shouldn't be on tape. They don't use him very much, but when they do, he can really get behind a defense. And honestly, you turn around and look, it wasn't the first time they were fooled. It may have been the worst time they got fooled. But the swing pass on the goal line to Worthy, you don't look in the backfield and see the fastest guy in combine history in the backfield and think, you think maybe they'll throw it to him on the outside?
I was watching that play. It's brilliant coaching. They overloaded that side with tight ends. They had 2 tight ends, Kelsey and another tight end on that side. And they both
Noah Gray, who's having a great year.
Into the middle of the field. And all the Steelers went with him.
Yep.
And the only one left was Minkah from way back in the back, and he had to run across the field to try to make a play.
Yeah.
It's, again, out-coached. And one more point on the secondary. I thought John Ledger, who I like, had a tweet. Out of 138 cornerbacks with 100 pass plays against the pass, Dante Jackson is ranked 132 by PFF, and Cam Sutton is ranked 128. It's a
They-
bad
Which makes-
secondary.
Which makes
Out of
no sense
138.
because Jackson has 6 interceptions.
Yeah, but half of those are tip balls that just landed in his hands.
Were they just
He's
talking
not.
about coverage? Wait. Were they just talking
Coverage
about coverage?
stats. Yeah, they're talking
then
about coverage.
That
Well, this
makes
is-
sense. That has nothing to do with interceptions. They're just going off strictly coverage. And that's literally
Now the
has
Cam Sutton, I
been
understand.
the Jekyll and Hyde of Jackson.
Dante Jackson, I'm
Guy-
telling you,
he's a great
he's not that good.
guy at interceptions, but coverage he hasn't been that great lately. We'll just say that lately.
All right, we beat up the defense pretty good. Let's flip over to the offense. What's becoming my number one concern is Russell Wilson and his fumbling and throwing interceptions, ball security. This is 2 games in a row. He fumbled, he got it back this time, and he threw a bad interception again. Guys, how close is Tomlin to thinking about going back to
don't-
Justin Fields?
No,
He won't do it. He won't do it.
He won't. And I
You
don't,
don't think he'll do
the
it?
problem
I
is,
don't know.
if I look
He
at
hates
that game,
turnovers.
Russell Wilson shouldn't have forced that.
And he's
It's
fumbling
kind of the
too.
same as defense. You can't. Russell, I don't think I saw a single thing I would describe as a pocket all day. I looked. You had seams where Russ kind of peeked through where there was a block that was about to be missed, but edge rushers all day in his face, up the middle all day in his face. And when he did get a chance to step up, he went into Russell Savior mode that he was in Denver and threw those kind of picks. That's the problem.
This is without
Russell Savior
Chris
mode
Jones.
is the worst Savior mode. I hate Russell Savior mode because that's not what he's good at, and we put him in that situation.
This isn't Russell's savior mode. This is a regression to the mean. Look, Russ played really
You might
well
be
for
right.
us for a few games. This is what he looked like his last year in Seattle in the 2 years in Denver. It's a regression to where he normally played. This is what he is at this point of his career. We've been waiting. He holds the ball too long. We saw it on Hard Knocks, which we all watched and said, who the fuck wants to talk about that bullshit? But the one thing was they were pointing out Russ either throws it deep or he checks it down. And they were forcing the checkdowns against the Chiefs. And the one time he threw it deep to Pickens, a couple other times he threw it deep to other guys. Pickens had made a nice catch, 41-yard gain, and then we didn't see it for the rest of the game. It didn't make any sense. Look, Russ had a nice little stretch for us. At this point, let's be honest. We should not re-sign him because this
I don't know how you
is
guys feel
his
about it.
best, and we're going to get the worst going forward. 37-year-old quarterbacks don't get better; they get worse. Throw Justin Fields out there, see what happens. Bottom line is, we got nothing to lose. This team, as presently constituted, doesn't look like a Super Bowl. I don't even know if we can beat the Texans, but I'll be rooting for it.
Look, this was truly Russell Wilson's worst game. He actually had a passer rating of only 65.7. The other
Coming
one
off
has
his
been
worst
90.
game.
Well, passer rating wise, no. Last game he was still in the 90s. This is actually the first time where he's dropped clear down to the 60s. So that shows me that this was truly his worst game. Also, sacked 5 times. Some of that was the horrible offensive line. Some of it was his fault for holding on to the ball too long. He had the interception. There is a video out showing that George Pickens did not run the right route. He just ran 5 yards and stopped. He even got caught out by Terrell Owens, of all people, for not running the right route. They're claiming that if he does, that draws the safety, so then Muth is open over the top. But I'm not making excuses. There were like 4 people back there in the end zone. He still tossed that ball to him, taking a chance. So, yeah, I am starting to get concerned because last game, the turnovers, then to this game, another turnover. Muth was open all game.
Yep.
Screaming, I'm open. And he just hardly ever saw him. Muth then walked over to the sideline, and I watched him complaining to Arthur Smith. He was saying something to Arthur Smith. But the problem Muth is in the next time he's out there, he gets the ball and fumbles and gives it back to the
He
Chiefs.
fumbles the ball.
Bro, you can't fucking bitch and bitch, get the ball, then turn
No,
it
you
over.
can't.
Like, it's
No,
just
you can't.
horrible timing. But Muth was open a lot, and Russ just didn't see him. He just didn't see him. Russ looked like a little kid out there running for his life, not being able to see people open down the field because.
Did you notice the Kenny Pickett pirouettes he was starting to do?
Oh, he did the spin move.
He did it 2 or 3 times.
PTSD about
2 or 3 times, man.
For 2 years.
Maybe it's not the
oh my
quarterbacks.
God.
Maybe it's the line. Who knows?
But
It's such a fucking disaster.
But it's
I
a
don't even
mix.
know.
It's not just one person. That's
Both.
the problem.
Yeah.
It's both.
There you go.
It's the O line not doing well. Like Bob, I got to see more right, field level. really bad. And Broderick Jones, really bad. The bull rush
Yes.
and the spin move both got Broderick Jones. And then Moore, that guy could make any move he wanted and fake out Moore. It was really bad. Both tackles looked really horrible.
I think PFF scored Broderick Jones pretty high in the 80s, I believe.
Well, they're idiots. There's no way. I watched the guy bull rush.
Wait a minute, we were just killing Dante Jackson for PFF. Let's keep consistency here. PFF is stupid.
They're out of their minds. Like I don't know how I watched guys. There's a couple of plays where I just watched Broderick Jones. I didn't even watch where the ball was going. And I saw him, the bull rush worked against him and the spin move, and they both turned into sacks. But in general, when it wasn't that way, Russell Wilson just held the ball way too long, didn't get rid of it, or like when he was running, taking off, he should have done that more often. If there's nobody open in your eyes, take off running, get those yards. And sometimes he did, and sometimes he didn't. And the running around with the ball in one hand in the pocket,
This is becoming a problem.
You're just asking for trouble. And it's 2 games in a row now where this has happened. And it's like, dude, if you're under that much pressure, hold on to the fucking ball. Like, don't leave it in your hand to just easily get knocked out.
Or maybe do what Patrick Mahomes did. He had a lot of passes where he threw it under 2 seconds.
Yes, tons.
Yeah, but
He also, one last thing, Wilson missed Williams open. He waited way too long to throw that ball to Williams when he was open down the left side. I mean, I heard people yell open, and Wilson for a whole nother 2 seconds didn't throw the ball.
Yeah.
Great play.
the problem with getting rid of the ball that quick is that's the design of the Kansas City offense. They've got receivers that get open. They design them open. The Steelers don't do any of that. They don't have the personnel to do it, and they don't have the coaching to accomplish it. They're not doing quick slants, it's all longer developing plays. There's so many factors to why this offense is bad, and you guys are right. It's not just one thing. It's not just the offensive line. It's Arthur Smith. It's the quarterback. It's the running back. Sometimes it's just a big
right. They make their guys
shit.
get open. We put CPAT out there on 3rd and 3 and hope for the best.
I mean, oh my God, my head almost exploded on that play. This CPAT bullshit's got to stop.
Oh my God.
Don't put him out there on kickoffs anymore. He's useless. What's the point? And you've got 2 great backs. Why the hell is he getting any snaps at all?
It makes no sense.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, I just want to jump in here because we have a fairly new voice in chat. I think he's been here before. And Wild Herb, just so you know, in advance, we don't like to usually disparage the watchers of the program, and we're happy you're here. That being said, the Mike Tomlin defense has got to stop.
Yeah.
This particular defense, especially playoff wins are overrated.
Are we sure he's
it's
not
a strange
joking?
way to end the
Whoa.
argument.
Are we sure he's being sarcastic? Because
I'm hoping because that's a weird way to end
Herb,
that.
speak up. Are you being sarcastic with that one?
Playoff wins are way
Because
overrated. That's why I'm like,
If we're-
I'm hoping he's being sarcastic.
I'm going to address this
End it.
to a few social media people who are out there, not our good friend Herb who came on and threw this out in chat, hopefully sarcastically. But I was really encouraged yesterday because I saw the usual voices out there. Oh, we can't get down on Tomlin. This kind of just bullshit. I really thought it was interesting yesterday during the game when J.J. Watt brought it up. And when Ian Eagle was like, oh, the 18 consecutive non-losing season, J.J. Watt jumped in and said, yeah, that's kind of a point of contention in Pittsburgh. Thank you. A national media guy finally says it. Because Florio and Eisen and that bald J guy on Fox, who I'm so mad I can't even forget his name, are
Jay
all
Glazer.
out there with the who you gonna get. And I was encouraged that a lot of them got a lot of pushback. You know what? At this point, who we gonna get? We're gonna get a Noel. We're gonna get a Cower. Because nobody knew who they were either. Nobody knew who Tomlin was when we hired him. So yeah, I have faith that the organization will find somebody else. I am sick of this argument that it could be worse. You know what? So what? What's worse than losing in the playoffs for a decade, for being non-competitive? What's the last? I saw this on social media today.
The Jets.
What's the last good team we beat that isn't Baltimore? Think about it. You
We can
can't.
be Jets fans.
It's
So here's
I'm with you,
my
Bob.
reaction to all these people who on social media Who would you get? Mike Florio, this one's for you.
Thank you for playing. Should we or should we not follow the advice of the galactically stupid?
It's a dumb argument. I don't want to hear. It will turn into the Cleveland Browns. Firing one coach in 60 years is not turning into the Cleveland Browns.
I asked on Twitter last night, and I want to get you guys' take. Who's in better shape the next 5 years? The Steelers, with no quarterback, no quarterback of any substance, and an aging defense, or the New England Patriots with Drake May and a top 3 pick coming up this year? Who would you rather be the next 5 years? Because this spin cycle of 9-7, 10 and just making the playoffs, we're going to watch these teams that fell behind us again come right back up and lap us again because they got Drake May.
I will say we are speaking from our perspective, and I wanted to get someone else's. So I spoke to, yet again, my brother-in-law, Jake, who has been a Texans fan since the Texans came into existence. And if anyone has watched the Texans, that's a lot of really hard years. He said in a heartbeat he would switch. He understands the difficulty. He understands the frustration. He's like, you want to try it from my side. He's like, I know it might look. So I wanted to understand, speaking. So we feel this way, and number one, I'm not defending Tomlin in this specific game and I am just as frustrated as everybody, but we could be doing a lot worse. And there are a lot of people who are a lot angrier, So are we in a great situation for the next 5 years? Most likely not. Are we in a worse situation in the NFL? No, not even.
No,
I'm trying
that's the
to
point,
make
right?
sure that I adjust that.
And does your brother-in-law think that the Texans are better off and not better off than the Steelers right now with that quarterback, that coach, and a young and upcoming defense?
In this moment, he would. The Texans are definitely better set up. But over the course of Tomlin's career, looking at it now, he would have preferred to take that rather than go through the constant overturns and the lack of. I mean, we're mad at 2 seasons without a quarterback. The Texans haven't had a quarterback until now. So there's levels of that kind of frustration.
Wait a minute. That's not true. Deshaun Watson, when he was good.
They had the best of Deshaun Watson.
They've won playoff games. They've won more playoff games in the last 10 years than we have.
And the Pirates have done that. So it's not.
When I saw that posted, I almost fell off my chair.
Dude.
I almost fell off my chair. Like, is that real? Because I don't remember the last time the Pirates won a playoff game. So is
2013? I can tell you. I can tell.
Yeah,
you.
we won 2016. Pirates have not won more recently.
More playoff wins. More total playoff wins. So it's 3 for the Pirates, none for the Steelers since then. That was the thing.
that's crazy. That's an insane stat. Let's go back to the.
No. Wait. We got the tweet wrong. It was since the last Steelers Super Bowl win. That was the tweet. Since the last Steelers Super Bowl win, there have been more playoff wins by the Pirates than the Steelers. Because I was doing it in my head, I'm like, that doesn't make. Yeah, that was the tweet. Sorry.
Which is why at this point, like, I love you, Zach, but I mean, come on. That's why I get so frustrated with these Tomlin defenders. And look, I liked Mike Tomlin until 2018. It's well documented when the switch came for me. When he blew the playoffs by faking that punt in New Orleans, I have been down on Mike Tomlin ever since. I was a huge Mike Tomlin fan for the first 10 years of his career. But at this point, how many more years? He picks the coaches, but he can't get blamed for the coaches. He picks the players, but he can't get blamed for the players. What the hell does Mike Tomlin do that he is so protected? Oh, I know what he does. He's clever at the press conference. You know what? Give me an idiot like Belichick who's terrible at the press conference who wins me games.
Hey, before we move on, so my thing is that it always feels like we're in prison with this winning streak. Like, does that
that's a good way to put it.
Like,
that's a good way to put it. Yep.
We're in prison with this winning streak. Like, oh, but they always have a winning streak. Okay, that's great. Yes, you could be the Jets and stuff like that. But, dude, like, when you see what we should be doing, like these other teams, this is where I fault Tomlin. That is getting competent coordinators. Like,
yeah, I've been railing about that.
100%.
They had a chance to get a Clint Kubiak, to get one of these guys from the 49ers, the Rams, the Dolphins, all these with these high-powered offensive geniuses, gurus, if you will, people under those trees. And they didn't do that. Tomlin wanted the guy that's going to run the ball down your throat, tough defense, all that whole mindset that he has. When he said, I'm willing to have change. He said it the other day. He said, I'm willing to have change. I think he said yesterday after the game.
He says that all the time. He never does
No,
it.
you don't. You're full of shit.
No.
You say this
Yeah.
every time, and all you do is do the same shit over and over and over again. That's my problem with Tomlin. Go get these new up-and-coming coordinators that are under these geniuses coaching tree. That's how you move forward if you want to keep Tomlin. Fine. I don't argue that. Tomlin is an amazing motivator. We saw in Hard Knocks. He is special in that regard. But it's the end game. It's the coaching that drives you insane. And it's got to be competent coordinators. The defense coordinator, you can tell the players are frustrated. Patrick Queen said they made adjustments. We didn't. I mean, that's a call out of their offense.
I'm telling you that they're not calling out a player. They're calling out Tomlin when they're saying this stuff.
Well, yeah. And then you just see what's going on with Arthur Smith. It's the same shit. I mean, we're letting CPAC get a carry out there in crucial moments. What are you doing?
Exactly. And no one's calling it out.
So to me, it's definitely Tomlin's fault in the fact that he does not have competent coordinators around him. Because I believe if he had competent coordinators around him, then I think things would be a little different. Arthur Smith is better than Canada, yes. And we see what happens. They didn't have to wait to the very last game of the season to find out they made the playoffs. But look what we're seeing now. It's falling apart at the worst time. And let me ask you said, these week 1, week 2 problems are happening now, and that shouldn't be happening. That's coaching.
Well, Zach, let me ask you, because you watch a ton of tape, more than anybody else here. Realistically, who's the best defensive mind we've had in the building since Dick LeBeau left?
We haven't had a good defensive mind in the building since Dick LeBeau.
I think you're forgetting that there was a real solid defensive mind.
I forget his name. The Vikings DC.
Brian Flores.
Flores.
Oh, you're talking about we had him as the linebackers coach. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so Brian.
It's a little apples and oranges because we didn't get to see Brian Flores as the coordinator with all of the coordinatorness that goes with it. So we're making an assumption based off what we saw him do. And I'm saying he most likely would have been, but it's still, to me, that's an apple and oranges thing a little bit.
Well,
and we were spoiled by Dick LeBeau. Anyone who had Dick LeBeau, I was spoiled by Dick LeBeau.
But to defend Bob, he was never going to be the DC here because he would take up too much attention. Tomlin doesn't want that. I've been saying this for years.
Yep.
Tomlin wants to be the guy specifically on defense. Some offense too, but defense. He's not going to hire a hotshot defensive coordinator who's going to take credit for calling plays and turning this defense around. This is Tomlin's defense. And it's failed for 15 years. Well, maybe 15 years is too long. It's failed for 10 years for sure. They've given up 30. What are they averaging? 30-something points a game in the playoffs, given up the last 5 or 6. It's been really, really bad. Yeah. And this is a talented defense over the years. I don't want to hear it. It's not a talent problem. No, it's a coaching problem. And as soon as we get that through everyone's head, nationally and everywhere else, then they can understand. I mean, you can make an argument. The last 5 years, this has been among the most talented defenses in the league. You've had T.J. Watt, Alex Highsmith, Minka Fitzpatrick, Cam Hayward for 5 years running. All pro guys at every level.
No playoff wins.
And no playoff wins, and you look bad on defense when you play good teams.
Yes, you do.
You look terrible.
You gave up how many points to the Jacksonville Jaguars?
That was one.
I mean,
the Browns scored what? How many points in Ben's last game? 50? It's been terrible. So we don't want to hear this bullshit from the national media that, you can't touch Tomlin. You can't touch Tomlin. What are you talking about? You guys are dumb. You're spoiled. No, we're not spoiled. Dude, we see the talent.
Wild Herb is killing me right now.
What is it? What did he say?
Look,
no.
And this is kind of, this is what I hate about the Tomlin argument. Tomlin being bad at his job has nothing to do with the color of his skin. It doesn't. He's just not good at his job. Brian Flores, the fact that you couldn't sit in a room with Terrell Austin and Brian Flores and look at both of them and go, I like you, Terrell, but I caught lightning in a bottle. I got a better guy. I got to go with the better guy. I let the better guy walk. Means you either won't identify, maybe you're too loyal, which is a problem, or you can't.
It's his ego.
So-
He won't want to let it happen.
Yeah,
He won't
either
let it
one is
happen.
bad. Won't or can't is bad. You've got to take the opportunity when he gets there. You know, at this point, I'm just. And
I
the
think
most
it passed him
frustrating,
by.
the most
sorry,
frustrating thing, though, honestly, Zach, is it's not going to change. He's in the
No, it's not.
contract for two
I
years.
agree. And I think what we signed, Bob, you brought up a good point because we all agree there was one point where we agree Mike Tomlin was incredible, an amazing coach. He just didn't change. He refused to change, and every year win the
Yep.
same way, do it. And
Yep.
at a certain point, it passed him by, and now it's passed him by so far that everyone still sees him as that guy, despite because he won't change, and but that on the football field we're not getting that result. And you mix that with his inability to delegate or refusal to delegate. Those are two horrible qualities in a modern
Yeah.
NFL.
Yeah.
And with the smallest staff, so those three things, I don't care how much talent you have. I could 99 out of my Madden roster right now and hand it to Tomlin and this group. Arthur Smith wouldn't know what to do with it because if the plan he goes into a game that doesn't work, that game doesn't work. He can't adjust. If Terrell Austin goes to a game, the game plan, we can't adjust as a team. My favorite thing to do with Dick LeBeau was watch after that first defensive drive. How was he going to adjust? What was he going to shut down? And he always did it. And we don't do that anymore. So so Bob, I absolutely agree with you. We are not. It would be a miracle and weird science if we saw Mike Tomlin revert back to who he was, because he won't change. So yeah, there's a lot of frustration. I think that's why.
And I think some younger Steeler fans who weren't around for the 80s and weren't around for the end of the 90s, look, everybody was killing Nolan in the late 80s. Everybody wanted him fired. He was basically gone if it wasn't for Joe Green. Cowher, for a stretch, his seat was on fire when Cordell took him to the AFC Championship game. He was fired if they had another losing season. It's not, I mean, it's just the way this, when the Steelers get into a lull and a down period, this ain't the Browns. We don't care if we go 8-9 wins for the next 50 years. We don't care. This is Pittsburgh, the city of championships, at least in football. They have higher expectations, and I cannot wait for Art Rooney II to go away and see if the new Dan Rooney can channel the old Dan Rooney and get us back in the Super Bowl contention.
So
For all the
I
fans
wanna,
who are, sorry.
go ahead, Zach. Go ahead.
Oh, just really quick, for all the fans, especially the young ones who have only ever had Cowher for our Tomlin for a coach and all that, I specifically remember the feeling of seeing Mike Tomlin on that sideline for the first time after watching Cowher from the entire time. You'll get through it. It'll be rough for a little bit. You'll get through it. So I'm just saying, if that's the worry that Steeler fans have, I've never known other, you will get through it. It's can we trust this franchise to do what we've always done with another coach like we have with the last three?
Yeah. But the problem is, it's never going to happen. He just won 10 games again. You're not going to fire a coach that just won 10 games. No matter if he fails in the playoffs, which he probably is, it's not going to happen. We could talk and talk and talk about it. Rooney has no desire to fire Tomlin. This is exactly what he wants. He keeps just enough interest in the Steelers where Rooney could just sit on his ass and do nothing. We won 10 games. What do you want to do? Fire the coach? Yes, we want you to fire the coach because he doesn't want a playoff game.
The business of the Steelers is too big to fail. It doesn't matter what they do. Those butts are going to be in those seats. On Christmas Day, people were like, yeah, open presents. Let's get the hell out of here and go watch the Steelers play. That stadium was still damn near packed. It does not matter. They're too big to fail. So as long as they keep the winning record streak going and they're competitive, they're going to make a ton of fucking money.
Now, I'm curious about one thing. I did see something, and I want to see if you guys agree. A lot of people, and I'm not going to point anyone out because it was a lot more than I thought, are now asking the question, with this going on, the losing streak, the 3 games again, if we win a playoff game and that's against the Jets, the Texans, is that still a positive season? Did we still succeed? Because we were saying before, a playoff win, we didn't specify. We said playoffs. So now, to me, I'm confused. Because Because to me,
No.
that's not really moving the goalpost, but it feels like it. But it might be a realistic view. I don't know where I am with that yet. If I've moved my goals.
That's a good point, Zach, because I, for one, said that at the beginning of the year. I don't care how it happens. We get a playoff win. Okay, I'll consider that progress.
Exactly.
Yes, it's bitterly disappointing at this point because I think we had higher aspirations. But at this point, I don't care how it happens. We get a playoff win. Okay, yeah, we can all take a break.
Okay.
At least
Cool.
for me.
Okay.
No, because
like
it just
that.
gives
I
Tomlin.
just wanted to see.
It lets Tomlin off the hook. If you beat a bad Texans team in the playoffs, that's a major development. That's a huge accomplishment. No, it's not. It's the same thing. You just lucked out and got a bad team in the playoffs. And okay, you haven't lucked out and got a bad team in the playoffs the last few years. And this is a good transition. They're not guaranteed to play the Texans.
That's
They could
true.
fall to 7 seed and end up going to Buffalo, and then it's a whole different conversation because they're going to get their asses waxed in Buffalo.
Well,
I don't
then
think
what
they
for me,
happens?
fall to the
wait,
seventh.
for me though, if they go to Houston and face Stroud, a healthy Stroud, and beat them, that to me that's progress. But if
Nah,
they
not
go
for me, it
against
isn't.
Houston and Stroud's injured, not playing, stuff like that, then no, it's
They've
not
got
as
7
big of a
losses
deal
with
for me.
Stroud. I mean, six
Yeah,
and a half losses with Stroud.
But yeah, we can't move the first down marker on the Steelers. What he said from the beginning, the progress is winning a playoff game. If they do it against a Stroud-led team, then good. That is progress. Now, am I thrilled? No. I'm not sitting here going, yay, this is great. I just can't wait till next year. No. But at the same time, it is technically progress. But I ain't going to feel good about it. I can tell you that.
The weird thing is, that doesn't muddy the waters a bit because we're talking about we don't want to re-sign Russell. He has one good playoff game. As angry as we are about it, we're going to re-sign him. And we're
I wanted
gonna
to
be
ask
really
that question,
mad about it.
and we got sidetracked.
I
Who
disagree
wants
with it,
who
but
wants
we
them to sign
will.
Russell Wilson to a long-term contract?
Ugh, dude.
No, I didn't like it beforehand.
'Cause I don't.
Thought, to me, it was best case scenario was win a playoff game or two with Russ, let him have his little hurrah in Pittsburgh, and then you move on to Justin Fields like you were supposed to. If that's not the plan, then you get rid of both of them and you draft again.
Problem
I'm
is-
sorry.
This is a weak quarterback draft. I don't want him drafted. This is Kenny Pickett 2.0 because there's two guys at the top
Ooh,
that are pretty good.
game
I'm
manager
not-
veteran.
I would go Justin Fields for a season. If you want to sign him for a 2-year deal and then go into the quarterback pool in 26.
Yeah,
For a
2026
draft.
is the
Yeah.
next draft class. I think what is that? Archie
I don't want him to
Mannings's
go.
draft.
I don't want him to draft a quarterback in this draft. It's Shedeur Sanders and the Miami kid, and they're going to go 1-2, and then after that, it's nobody else.
Yeah,
So
it drops
don't-
after that.
don't do that again.
Yeah.
If you can give me just Russell Wilson for 1 season, a 1-year deal,
That's
I can live with that.
yeah, Dave. That's what I was thinking. I was if they could sign him to a 1-year deal to bridge us to 2026, I'm fine with that.
Because
But nothing crazy. No 3-year or 4-year craziness. Like no,
Oh, 4-year. Oh, I hope not.
I'm just saying.
Look,
Like
But
that.
you watch Hard Knocks, and Tomlin and him are
Oh, they're love.
practically
Like, son
best
father-
buddies.
Oh, dude, it's-
Long lost relatives.
Yeah.
Tomlin loves him, so that scares me. That scares
Right.
me.
Look, if you want to say, hey, we could go into the draft, we could do this, we could do that. The best quarterback available in the draft or in free agency is Justin Fields. He's the best guy as far as
Probably.
projection. That
Probably.
doesn't mean he's great. It just means he's the best guy available. As far as if we go forward, there is an offense that can be run with Justin Fields. Hopefully he's learned touch on his passes. And it's not that I don't think Russ has been okay. He's been okay. He was really good, and now he's really bad. Let's see how it ends. I mean, if he goes into Cincinnati, who he torched a few weeks ago, and the offense looks like this again, and let's say that all of a sudden the Bengals beat the Broncos and they're playing for their playoff lives and the 7th seed, which, frankly, at this point, we got to hope the Bengals do that because we cannot fall to the 7th seed if the Bengals make the playoffs. So,
Hey, you guys see what Mark said about how we're gonna have to swing the bat a few times to hit on a QB? I think he's right. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's just
Yeah.
that's. I mean, look at us in the '80s and the '90s. It took us how long before we
Mike
hit on bat?
Zach.
We got to get
There's a-
whoever picks quarterbacks for the Green Bay Packers over here to help us pick a quarterback. That's
no
what we got to
doubt.
do.
No
Our
doubt.
good buddy Mark Malone probably recalls how David Woodley was going to be the savior of the franchise after being a Super Bowl quarterback in Miami, and Mark Malone took over for him.
So
Yeah.
before we get out of
It's
here,
rough.
we got to talk about the 4th and 2 punt down. That nearly gave me a stroke. I'm not even going to lie, because why? Somebody please explain to me how or why you're down. They were what, down 19 points at that point with about 6 minutes to go, and decent field position, and you're 4th and 2. You're punting. That's quitting. Am I crazy? That's quitting.
That I didn't. It's not that I didn't have a problem with it. I expected, weirdly enough, that what I had a problem with is you do that, which signals that you give up, and then you keep all your starters in.
Thank you. I was just about to say the same thing.
Yeah, if you're gonna give up, why keep your starters?
But Tomlin
in?
doesn't give up. That's why he
punt?
benched Chooks for the rest of the season last year, because Chooks had the nerve to suggest you quit. So now you benched him because we don't do that.
Did you guys see
But then
my
you do
notes?
it.
Did you guys see my notes? This is verbatim everything I was about to say. Literally, he benched Chooks. This is crazy. Like everything you guys just
You
said,
quit.
I was thinking about saying. Oh my God. Literally the same thing. Chooks, you guys are like Nostradamus 1 and 2. Like, yes. Like, literally, I was thinking the same thing. You benched a guy for giving up last year. Now you give up. It only makes sense if you're going to bench your good players and protect them. Fine.
But you're still
Down
quitting.
by 19. Right, but at least you're doing it and it makes sense. It
Yeah.
doesn't make sense if you're doing that. You're still playing your important players. Fine, we're down by 19. We're screwed. Okay, we get it. Make sure your guys are good to go for the Bengals game because now you have to win that game. As far as I'm
Well,
concerned.
you just went for it on 4th and 20. 4th and 2, though. Well, hey, that's a stretch.
Hey, CPAT was ready. They should have put him in. Go for it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, CPAT's
4th and 2, you get the first down.
Where's the jet sweep to Calvin Austin?
Oh, God help me.
Oh,
God help me.
bring
I'm
it back. We got one
Honestly,
more game to
I
go,
think-
baby. Bring it back. Why not?
I'll take a jet sweep over the fact that every single time it's a 3rd or 7 and 3rd and 8, Russell throws for the end zone, no matter where we are in the field. Does not matter where. That frustrates the hell out of me.
I just that play just epitomized everything that drives me crazy about Mike Tomlin. There's no rhyme, there's no reason to his decision making on the field. It's all over the goddamn map. You don't know what he's going to do next. Don't throw a challenge flag at the most opportune time. Throw a challenge flag on the stupidest thing. Timeouts for no goddamn reason. Holding timeouts. It's becoming a circus with him on the sideline. It really is. You don't know what it's. I can hear the music playing, the circus music, while things are getting tight and time's running down, and Tomlin's over there having a nervous breakdown. He doesn't know what to do. This is getting bad, guys. It really is.
You think about it. I imagine being on an NFL sideline as a head coach, any head coach, is stressful. Now imagine you want to do everything yourself.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
one else can do it as good as I
Yep.
can. That he will never admit it, but no wonder he's forgetting things. No wonder he's missing things because he wants to keep it all in his own hands. If he lets some things go, someone would walk up. We have 3 timeouts. We might want to use one of them. That Kansas City is running up pretty quick. We might want to challenge this really obvious incomplete pass. So stuff
You know
like
what
that.
sums up Mike Tomlin perfectly? They asked him at the press conference, Mike, you said 3 weeks ago we're going to find out a lot about our team in the next 3 weeks. So they asked him about it. So the guy says, what did you find out? I don't even remember saying that. He blows the guy off. Doesn't even want to acknowledge it. It's ego unchecked and out of control. It's what it is. He won't hire a coordinator that's good because he doesn't want it. He wants to win with defense and running the football because he's a defensive coach. So this is the way we're going to go. Even though it's 2024 and nobody's doing that anymore, Mike Tomlin's going to do it. I mean, you don't get a wide receiver because we stress offense. So here we are with poor freaking Russell Wilson running around trying to find an open receiver, and there's none. It all goes back to Mike Tomlin. I'm sorry, it all goes back to Mike Tomlin.
Yeah,
No, you're not wrong. I don't disagree at all, dude.
Look, John pointed out that Steelers Nation isn't a democracy. You're right. Look, Art Rooney II is ultimately to blame. Art Rooney, the chief, spent 40 years before he put his son kind of in charge of the team, Dan Rooney. The Steelers in the Dan Rooney era, which started in the late 60s, to basically Mike Tomlin, Art Rooney II hired Mike Tomlin, but don't think Dan Rooney was against that because it wouldn't have happened if it hadn't been. Dan Rooney's time was the greatness of the Steelers. Art Rooney has let it sink back into the, hey, we're better than what the team was under my grandfather, not what we were under my dad. And we got to hope that the next Dan, Art Rooney is now older than Dan Rooney was when he gave up the team and when the Chief was when he gave up the team. Art Rooney is now older than both of them. So we got to hope when he hands it off to the guy in waiting, which is Dan Rooney, again, that the Steelers have another renaissance. And the guy was a quarterback and, he has a football background just like all the Rooneys did except for the Chief. We got to hope that, okay, things are going to change when he takes over. At this point, nothing is going to change until Art steps down. It's not. He said, I want to win playoff games. Let's see how serious he is about it. Steelers finish, and if they win one playoff game, I bet you he's good till he retires.
And I want to be clear. Mike Malone put this up, and I don't feel this way. I think Tomlin's a smart coach, and I think he's a smart guy. I want to be clear on this. But to Zach's point, every coach needs help. You have to hire coordinators that are competent and that can help you. You can't do it on your own, and it shows.
Yep.
Mike Tomlin proves that week in and week out. Hire coordinators that can help you win. I don't know why he's so averse to hiring, like Dave says all the time, someone young, someone innovative, someone new. But I really believe it's not stupidity, it's ego. He wants to win,
right?
And everyone point to him and say that Mike Tomlin's the reason we won. He doesn't want some young hotshot offensive coordinator being the reason.
Hey,
Mike Tomlin wants to be the reason.
Imagine this team with Brian Flores as the defensive coordinator and Clint Kubiak as the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, and then Mike Tomlin wins Super Bowls, and then you take credit there.
Because we talk about Andy Reid, you don't talk about how good his coordinators did that year. So Mike Tomlin will get the credit.
Of course he will.
Yeah, I who's great at this, and a lot of people give him shit for it. Deion Sanders is great at this. Deion Sanders is not an X's and O's guy, but he went out and got guys who were. He is not afraid to let his coordinators coach.
There you go.
Which is why I think Deion is going to be very successful in the NFL. He has a CEO mentality.
Yeah.
He is okay with somebody else getting the credit. You know what? You do good and move on, I'll get another guy. The only guy we've ever really had like that is Cowher. Cowher had great coordinators.
He did have great coordinators. You're right.
Yeah.
Chuck Noll,
right.
The coordinators under Noll were good, but they stayed with him forever. They weren't interested in going anywhere else. Chuck Noll had no coaching tree. I mean, other than really Tony Dungy. Mike Tomlin doesn't have a coaching tree. He can't even point to Dungy. I mean, it kind of is what it is. You gotta delegate. You gotta let these guys go. That's why I think it's interesting. Jack brought up his brother-in-law is a Texans fan. I saw stuff on social media today. They want to fire DeMeco Ryans.
Yeah, ridiculous.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. Again, and I hear this all the time that people try to use the excuse, well, they're forcing these coordinators on Mike Tomlin. Bullshit, man. That guy has more power than any coach in the league. I'm convinced of it. Whatever he says goes. He hired Matt Canada. Matt Canada was his guy.
Yes,
you can maybe make the argument that the offensive coordinator before Canada, Haley, might have been coerced into taking Haley, which, by the way, is the best offensive coordinator they've had probably in the Tomlin era.
Yeah.
Right? But he's got to straighten this out or he's never going to be successful. It's just that simple.
Yeah.
And Arthur Smith's not the guy. He's not the guy.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
can
said
only see
this
so
in
many.
January. I said this in January.
I know you did, and you were right.
Hey.
So
I'm sorry, I'm Mr. Negative. I'm sorry. I try to be a realist, but it's negative. Sometimes being negative, you're right. And I whatever. It's not like I want to be happy about this. I'd rather look like an idiot and they go on to win Super Bowls. But unfortunately, sometimes you just see things, and I just.
I was curious why whenever we got Arthur Smith, a lot of people were like, "Oh, well, just wait." I understand certain things now. I do get it now.
Yeah.
I mean,
Just
Smith
to wrap
was the
up-
only guy who was willing to run an offense that Tomlin was okay with.
Who?
Smith was the only guy who was willing to run
Yeah.
an offense, and it didn't mean it was doomed to fail. And let's face it, for most of the season, it really didn't fail. It was actually pretty good. It was just all predicated on George Pickens staying healthy,
Yeah.
and he didn't. And then the wheels came off. And now, even when he was back, what they throw it to him 3 times?
Yep.
I mean, what's the point? I don't get it. At this point, just burn it down and start over.
All right. To wrap up the pod, do we have any thoughts on Hard Knocks before we go? I guess the biggest thing that I took out of it was the Ravens coaching staff saying, don't worry about the middle of the field. We'll take Russ doesn't throw, intermediate passes. It's dump offs or it's long bombs. So that's what we focus on, and they ended up winning that game. So short of that, I mean, any more thoughts on Hard Knocks?
I had a couple, but go ahead, Zach, if you want to go.
Oh no, I literally will take a happy pass on this one. It hurt me to watch it. It will hurt me to talk about it. Dave, David, you take it away because I'm happy to give you my time on that.
Tom,
Actually, can I throw one thing? Because it's the only thing I want to say.
Go ahead.
I thought T. Higgins saying that he went into debt to pay for Christmas was fucking funny.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
First thing was John Harbaugh lifting weights like he's Rocky getting ready to fucking go against Apollo Creed or some shit. I was just like, really? We're running about 5-10 minutes of him working out. Cool. Great. 2, Tomlin talking to Patrick Queen and telling him how you're the leader. You got to communicate. He goes, yeah, well, they got to communicate back to me. Did you notice that?
Mhm.
He made that comment, and I was like, whoa, okay. Patrick Queen's making it very, hey, look, these motherfuckers got to communicate back to me. And another thing is watching Pierre cover, I can't remember if it was Flowers or if he was covering Bateman. And the way he covered him, he turned and gave the whole middle of the field to Flowers or Bateman. And I'm sitting there thinking, why would you turn your back to the sideline and let him have the whole middle of the field? So the way he covers is horrendous. And of course, it was a play where they converted like a 3rd and 16 because Flowers cut across the field wide open and they converted it because of the horrible angle that Pierre chose to take. Again, coaching. Like, why is this guy taking an angle and giving up the whole inside of the field to him? Like, what are we doing?
Coaching, and he's not an NFL corner. He should be playing special teams only.
We talked about everybody being frustrated about communication and players not doing their part. And I'm watching this and I'm going, well, fuck, even I know. I'm a nobody, ain't like I played football at a high level. Even I know you don't take that fucking angle on a guy like Flowers or Bateman and give him the whole middle of the field. Just crazy. But those were what I took from it. Just frustrating.
Yeah.
Just
I watched it
frustrating to
last
watch.
night because I forgot, and I was already aggravated and depressed from the Chiefs game. And then just before bed, I had to watch that nonsense and watch the Ravens, and all that.
Yep.
No, so I have a lot to say. It was very frustrating, and
and the Browns, they're just so pathetic. The whole
They
thing
are.
with them is dedicated to Myles Garrett and getting his 100th sack and blah 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 blah. The whole team, that's all they talked about. It's like, dude, is that what you guys worried about? Just one guy getting his 100th sack instead of winning the game? Like, just gives me an idea of that franchise and what they're about. Like, I just.
Yep. That's all I have to look forward to. They're gonna another season in the bottom. All right, I think that's all we have. Unless you guys want to have any final thoughts on, I think we beat this thing to death.
Close the door.
I think I need a drink after this
weekend.
podcast.
I'm ready for the playoffs to begin. I'm kind of mad there's another week left.
Yeah. Well,
by the way, special time for legendary picks tomorrow, 3:00. We're going to be on picking the rest of the schedule, all the games we care about and don't care about. Don't forget our QR code for the store to order. Otherwise, let's.
thanks for everybody in the chat. Our regulars, Relic and Edberg and Malone and all those guys. Oh, I was waiting for Mean Green to come back on after he called me a Chiefs plant for predicting the score the last week.
He'll be back, I'm sure. He'll be back.
Where are you, Mean Green? because I was right. I predicted it almost to the number.
Yeah, you did. You did.
Other than that, thanks for everybody with the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and our YouTube channel. Hit the like button, please. All that stuff helps us out a great deal. You guys are great. We appreciate it. And we'll see you tomorrow at 3 o'clock for our legendary picks.
Well, hello, Mr. Fancy Pants.
Look, maybe I didn't say every single little tiny syllable.
Groovy. Lady, I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to leave the store.